The best study environment isn't necessarily going to be the closest student library. Best study environment is usually one where there's not a lot of sound, not a lot of things distracting you, and basically the only things there are the information that you need to study and yourself. If you've ever been sitting in the library, you look at your clock and you realize it's been 4 hours, and that headache is starting to kick in. That's probably because you've just sat there and shoved tons of information into your brain. The reality is, a very small percentage of that is probably going to become permanent.
Kornell did a study in 2009, and what he was interested in is whether cramming or spaced out studying was more effective. What he found is that participants thought that cramming would be more effective, but in reality, spaced out studying improved memory.
Another thing to think about when you're studying is the way that you set up your notes. Now, a lot of people, when they go to a lecture, they just like to write everything down. And that means all the information in PowerPoints, everything professors say, and there are good ways and bad ways to take notes.
So Najhi sat through an organic chemistry lecture, and she has some notes demonstrating good note-taking skills. Najhi, would you like to tell us about your notes?
Sure. I specifically highlighted acids, noting that I need to study my acid and base compounds, and then I highlighted and abbreviated the chemical configurations. So for example, Z means same side configuration, so it means the line is on the same side of the carbon. So that's why I underlined and highlighted Z. So my notes for shorthand were Zames, Zide, E opposite.
Okay, and I can see that you have some asterisks. Because, can you explain to us why you would mark those things that way?
I also use asterisks to refer to my notes later, because sometimes I forget what's important or what's not important, and I'm like, okay, this is what I need to study for the test. So I highlight it and put an asterisk to note that was very important.
Okay. All right, great, thank you. The concept of levels of processing was originally developed by Craik and Lockhart in 1972. Now, Craik and Tulving later on did a study that what they did is they talked to their participants and they asked them questions about a word, okay? And they did this individually, but they asked them questions about the structure of the word, like, was it capital? And then they asked them a question about, like, does it rhyme with another word? And then they asked them a question like, does it fit in a certain category, like maybe animals or plants? And then they asked a question about, does it fit in a sentence with like a blank? And then what that did is that allowed them to analyze the different levels of processing. And they found that deeper levels of processing that referred to the meaning were better. When you're studying, it's really important that you focus on deeper levels of processing. What this means is that you really try to understand the meaning of the information. So, for example, let's say you need to learn what dopamine, the neurotransmitter, is. All right. Well, what you can think of is think about that stuff that people smoke and they say it makes them happy. Dope. Well, dopamine, dope. There you go.
Thank you for watching our video. I hope these memory strategies are very helpful. Remember, it's not about how bad you want it. It's about how hard you're willing to work for it.